And it just took me a long time to realize there are some people, their spiritual gift is finding problems. And I have no mercy at all. In fact, I have no mercy. In fact, when I gave up counseling and I told people I wouldn't do any counseling anymore, they began to clap and applaud and said, oh, thank God. Woo, that's good. He won't be See, when you counsel with people, you work on their weaknesses. When you equip people, you work on their strengths. My life was changed radically the day I quit counseling people and started equipping people. When I realized that the greatest way to help people is to not stay on their weaknesses. And by the way, I'm pro-counseling. I'm not anti-counseling, so don't be offended. If you're a counselor, I'll probably be to you before the day's over. But the day that I realized the greatest way to help people is to help them find their strengths, that was the day that I was able to really help people. Now, I have 8 more minutes. So if it's okay, for the 8 minutes I have left, I would like to give you 3 hours of lecture. First of all, before I give you more, are you learning something? Now, let me ask you a question. All this stuff you've been writing, have you been taking notes today? You've been taking notes all day, haven't you, huh? In fact, just show the person you're beside you. Show them your notes right now. Just show them those notes. Just put it in their face right now. Just put that in their face. In fact, show them their notes and ask them why they haven't taken as good a notes as you have today, huh? Absolutely. In fact, tell them the notes you've been taking aren't for you, it's for them, and they need to read those things. Okay, now. And what I want you to do is not only take notes, I want you to do something with it. Isn't that true? Okay, in other words, start applying this stuff. So let me make a couple of leadership statements. These are mainly from my 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I want to make 2. I'm going to make 2 leadership. I'm going to just teach 2 leadership laws, and then I'm done. Well, no, I'm not really done. When I'm done here, I'll go out to that book then, and if you brought books and you haven't had them signed yet, I'll sign until you get your book signed, okay? Is that fair enough? Okay, here we go. The reason I have such a passion to teach people how to lead, and the reason that I travel internationally and do all this stuff, is not because I need a job or because I want to get on a plane or I need to see another country. It's because I know what happens when a person learns to lead. And in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the first law of leadership is the law of the lid, L-I-D. And the law of the lid says that your leadership level will determine your success. In other words, how well you lead will determine how successful you become. Now, after you finish writing that down, I'm going to visually take a moment and I'm going to just explain that to you. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what the organization is that brought us here. And again, I want to share with you, if you want to learn leadership, go to them for corporate training. They'll sit down and they'll teach these principles. Now watch this principle. This is huge. This is a visual. If this left hand represents how well John Maxwell leads and this right hand represents my business, here's what I know about my business. My business will grow up to, but not go any higher than the lid of my leadership. In fact, my leadership ability will put a lid upon my potential and upon my success. I cannot grow my organization better or bigger than I can lead. Oh my goodness. In the history of mankind, no company, no business has ever kept growing beyond the level of its leaders and just kept flourishing and kept being successful when the leaders were down here. No. Leadership is always the lid on the growth of your company. Leadership is always the lid in the success of your life. And what I am basically is I am a lid lifter. I go around and I teach people how to lift their lid, how to get better. Because, for example, if you're from a 1 to 10, you're a 4 as a leader. What that means is Your company's going to be a 3. Can I tell you something? Your company's going to not be a 6. It's not going to be a 7. It's not going to be an 8. This is not a baffling exercise. If you're a 4 as a leader, you're literally going to control, contain, and keep your company from getting any higher than a 4. It cannot rise above the level of your leadership. And I hate this illustration. It hurts my hand every time I do that thing. Now here's the good news. You can grow as a leader. You can go from a 4 to a 5 to a 6. And all of a sudden your company now has room to grow from a 3 to a 4 to a 5, maybe a 6. So how do you grow your company? How do you become more successful? You grow your company, you grow your business, you build your department, you develop people by your ability to lead people successfully. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Always has, always will. Between 1982 and 1992, I had a mentor in San Diego, California by the name of Don Stevenson. Don was the president of Global Hospitality. This was a company that bought bankrupt resorts out. Resorts that were going under, they would buy them at a very cheap price because they were going bankrupt. Then they would go in and train the people and turn the company around and sell them at a high price. That's how Global Hospitality made a lot of money. And Don Stevenson was the president of Global Hospitality, and he made a lot of money. And for 10 years, he was my mentor. And every month, I would take him out to that 2-hour lunch, and he would eat, and I would ask questions. One day, we're up in La Jolla, and we're having our lunch, and I said, okay, Don, here's my question for the day. When you buy a bankrupt company, is there something that you always do? I mean, it's automatic. You buy the company, it's in trouble. Are there some things that you just automatically do because you know you need to do them to turn the company around? And he looked at me. I can still remember. He's eating his salad. He looks up at me. He says, yes, John. He says, every bankrupt company we buy, we always do 2 things. And when he said we always do 2 things, man, I've got my pen ready because he's ready to drop gold on me. And I know, I go, okay, give it to me, baby, give it to me. You know, what 2 things do you always do? And they said the first thing we do is we go in and we retrain all the employees in relationship skills. He said, we take everybody that's part of that company and we teach them people skills. We teach them how to win with people. And he said, the reason we teach them people skills is, he said, statistics tell you that when people don't come back to a resort, 79% of the time it's because they weren't treated properly by the employees of the organization. Somebody didn't take good care of them. The waitress didn't. I mean, somebody, and so therefore they just don't come back because the service wasn't good. And so he said, the first thing we do is, he said, we just do thorough relationship training in the company. So I'm sitting with my legal pad and I'm writing that down. I'm saying to myself, okay, Maxwell, with your companies, start really giving them good relationship skills. Help them to know how to get along with people. I said, okay, I got that one, Don. What's the second thing you do every time you buy out a bankrupt company? He's eating his salad. He doesn't even look at me. He said, the second thing we always do is we always fire the president. I said, what'd you say? We always fire the president. I said, what do you mean you always fire the president? He's not looking up. He's just eating his salad. He said, John, I told you, we always fire the president. I said, always? He said, always. In fact, he said, we don't even meet him. He said, we buy the company. He said, we send a courier to their office, basically give them a severance pay, tell them they're fired, get out of the office today. We don't want them to ever come back. Fired. I said, you don't go see them? You don't sit down in the office, put a fire in the fireplace, hold hands? No, he said, we always fire the president. Well, now he's frustrated because I'm not writing this down. And he just stops eating his salad, leans forward to the table, and he looks at me and says, John, if the president was good, the company wouldn't be going bankrupt. Okay. Always fire the president. What was he saying? It's very simple. He's saying everything rises and falls on leadership. He was saying the law of the lid tells you how big your company is going to become is not how much money you have. It is not what your location is. It's how good of leaders you have in your organization. That's why the best leaders have more than one good leader. They have several good leaders. In fact, they have a leadership culture in that organization. It's called the law of the lid. One more law, and I close with this. The law of process. The law of process says leaders develop daily, not in a day. In other words, if you want to be a great leader, it takes time. It's a process. You don't become a leader because you came to this conference today. You don't become a leader after you've read one leadership book. You don't become a leader when you just hang with a leader for a weekend. No, it's a process. It takes time. What I have discovered is many people, they want to become what I call instant leaders. Do you have microwaves in Malaysia? Do you have, let me ask you, do you have crock pots? Oh, okay. You see what I've discovered? In the States, this isn't a problem in Malaysia. This is a problem in the States. This isn't your problem. In the States, we try to microwave leaders. Yeah, we grab them. We say, I want you to be a leader. And we stick them in the microwave and push a couple buttons and pull them out and say, you're a leader? No, they're not a leader. They've been microwaved. That's why we have so many Pop-Tart leaders. You don't microwave leaders. If you want to develop leaders, you crock pot leaders. You put them in the crock pot and let them simmer and marinate. It takes a while to develop leaders. When I did the interview today at noon with the reporters, they asked me a question that I'm always asked in every leadership conference if I let people ask questions. It's a question they ask no matter what country I'm in, no matter where I am. They raise their hand and they say, John, the question I have, are leaders born? And whenever they ask me, are leaders born, I always give them the same answer. Of course they are. Think about that question. I've never met an unborn leader. Don't particularly want to either. Thank you very much. You see, when they ask me, are leaders born, what they're really asking are there some people, they got it, and some people, when they're born, they don't got it, and if you got it, you go to the front of the line. I guess if you don't got it, you get in the back of the line and hope there's a drinking fountain at the end of the line. Now, there are people, without any question, that have leadership leanings, just like I talked to you about the math and the language. No question about that. But what I have discovered and what I taught in my book, Developing the Leader Within You, and the book, Developing the Leaders Around You, is you can train and teach people how to be a leader. So I close with this statement and this story. There were some tourists in an old European village. I mean, it was an old village. Nostalgia. And the tourists were just looking at the buildings and thinking about the history and thinking about all the people who have over the centuries lived in that village. And one of the tourists saw an old man sitting at a bench, and so he went over and sat beside him and said, have you lived here? And the old man said, yeah. He said, I've lived here all my life. Oh, he said, good. I have a question to ask you. What's the question? Have any great men been born here? And the old man said, no. Only babies. Only babies. And when they asked me about Malaysia and asked me why I went there, and they said, well, are there great men and women being born in Malaysia? I said, no, just babies. But babies who have tremendous potential. Because as I look at you and I've talked to you today, seldom have I talked to people that I felt had greater potential to be great leaders than the people in this room. But it's a process. Pay the price. Be patient. Stay away from the microwave. and become the leader that you can become, it's best for your country, it's best for your business, it's best for your community, and it's best for your family. I hope you've learned something, because I've had a wonderful time talking to you today. Thank you very much.